Okay, I want to talk to the lawyers that deal with Uber and Lyft uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist coverage. So when the app is on and you have somebody in the vehicle and there is a collision caused by somebody else other than the Uber driver, you have up to $1 million worth of uninsured motorist coverage. If the third party that's at fault has some coverage, $15,000, and you receive that, now you reduce that from the $1 million, $985,000. If they had a $100,000 policy and they pay it, now you have $900,000 of underinsured motorist coverage, as opposed to if they had no insurance, they call it uninsured motorist coverage. Okay. But what's important is I see over and over, in fact, yesterday I had 2 lawyers in my office who had cases that were years old in an uninsured motorist context where they had not demanded arbitration or gotten an arbitrator and certainly did not have an arbitration date. That is the very first thing you must do. And I am here to please beg you to turn off your ears for all of the litany of reasons and excuses that Uber and Lyft will give you for not needing an arbitrator or an arbitration date. Here we go. Let's make it up. Let's start with it. We can settle this case. We don't need to go to arbitration. Oh, you know what? We just need to get your information in, and arbitration is a waste of money and a waste of time. Oh, you know, we're not quite ready, and we're not going to agree to arbitrators or to select an arbitrator until we're ready. Oh, you know what? The lawyer on the file got switched to another lawyer, and we're going to have to, take a little time to figure out what's going on, etc. None of that means anything. You should act as if you did not even hear anything. Demand arbitration. Here are the arbitrators we will accept. Please accept one or of them in the next 3 weeks, or we will move to compel arbitration. Then you file a lawsuit and you compel arbitration. But remember, you are a first-party insurance. You owe the covenant of good faith and fair dealing, the duty, fiduciary duty to treat the insured in the same way that you would be treated fairly. So you making your insured have to file a lawsuit, hire a lawyer to enforce the contract that you have a first-party obligation to is called insurance bad faith. And I'm reminding you of that. And I'm keeping track of it. Because at the end of the arbitration, whether we settle it for any number or we go to arbitration and get a number, it doesn't have to be the full policy. Then I'm going to sue you for bad faith. And by the way, it is bad faith for you to ask for a release. It is bad faith for you to ask for confidentiality. It is bad faith, certainly, for you to put in a release if for some reason you want to resolve the case and you agree to confidentiality for your client's purposes to get the money. They cannot put in the release a waiver of your bad faith claim. That in and of itself is a 100% win for bad faith insurance practices. Now, when you have an arbitrator and then they won't take your client's deposition, they're delaying, you remind them, this is bad faith. When they hire the doctor that they hire thousands of times to say 95% of your bills are not valid, that's bad faith because they are using someone that they already know is going to lowball. And then finally, this BS with Intact for Uber and whatever it is, Blue Line, I forget what it's called because I don't really even care what they're, for Lyft, where they say, well, this is occupational insurance and you have to use them first and then we'll decide about the non-economic damages. And you can't arbitrate one without the other. You have to do them separately. I don't even listen. That's why you need an arbitrator up front with an arbitration date so that when they delay, you can move to compel with the arbitrator. But by definition, I hear all these lawyers come in and say, yeah, but what about, they sent me a check from Intact or from Blue Star. Should I put it in my trust account and just not take the money? No, that's constructive receipt potentially. I am going to arbitration against Uber and Lyft for the non-economic and economic damages that my client reasonably incurred. I am not going to do some BS jump through the hoop so that you, Uber and Lyft, can try to parse out my economic damages, settle them for 5 cents on the dollar, and then go to the non-economic claim and say, well, they don't have any medical bills, so it's only a small case. That's what they're trying to do, divide and conquer. Now, if you need anything, advice, forms, if you need me to get involved or not, I am here to help you. All of this stuff in an arbitration procedure or process, they try to keep confidential, just like they do in their litigated. Why? Because I know it, but they don't want me to tell anybody in a litigation situation. They don't want me to give you my complaints or my depots or whatever. And they have been successful across the country, frankly, because a lot of judges don't have the time or don't have the desire to really look into how unfair these confidentiality requests are. I mean, I have so many valid reasons to say this is nothing about trade practice. It is simply a litigation strategy. And yet the court doesn't want to deal with it and says, well, there's a form confidentiality. Why don't you just use it? And that's one of the reasons I'm here talking generally about these practices about Uber and Lyft. So we'll go over this as many times as you want. Email me, call me. My information's in the bio or the video description. Come on now, Uber. Come on now, Lyft. Come on now, y'all. Reach out. Let's do better.